get their money monitored. That was the U.S. prescription. I know the four chips, United States and Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. Taiwan and Japan, they may not have the lots of the facilities in mainland China. Maybe Taiwan, TSMC is vulnerable at the regime of the politicians or politics or whatever. Only one country, Korea, the Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. SK Hynix, the facilities not so big, but Samsung, they have their NAND flash memory in Xi'an as one of a big operation. Under this kind of circumstances, you guys, they are like ask the question, if as the center of the United States, other countries consist as four chips, then China may take revenge, retaliate. I understand the question, but I would say I do not worry about it. Because there is there is a rule in industry. As long as you have the core competencies and comparative advantages compared to the other countries, in technology era, you don't need to worry about it. One strong evidence, the Taiwan, they have TSMC and lots of the first and second, third, first tiers ecosystem. Many guys are saying China, mainland China will attack Taiwan. I don't think so. No, never ever. Because TSMC itself, Taiwan itself is like a core competency of global society. Why China ruin it? No. In Korea, they have core competencies. At the moment is a memory. Because today's AI era, the memory becomes like a bottleneck. GPU, TPU, MPU, or whatever. You know the GPU, TPU, MPU, everything, right? So today, Samsung has, they have their like NAND flash memory factory in the Xi'an. But if four chips aligned together and they may set up their policy against China, not Taiwan and Japan and Korea, only United States. Only United States, because they are trying to be representative of four chips. So this question, but if we change the topic, if this is a mobile phone era, then I may say yes. Because I led the more than 10 years mobile phone business at Samsung. Once the Chinese government, they didn't say anything, but even we couldn't sell our mobile phone on a gift, the lunar calendar year. The Chinese government, they just stopped as a gift. We cannot move. We couldn't do anything. But semiconductor, no, I don't worry. Why? The semiconductor in Korea, they have core competence, comparative advantages in terms of their productions and development and supply chain. But under this situation, only one rare earth, raw material. But why 2006 of today, the rare earth is one of a strong weapon of the China? Why? Do you know why Chinese need rare earth?
It has the most advanced refinery machine, the technique for refining.
There is one thing, yeah, yes. The second, no strong regulation in China regarding rare earth. To produce rare earth, you need to jump up the regulation in terms of ecology issue. To produce, to make rare earth as a product, there are lots of the vulnerable process in terms of ecology issue. That means if other countries are trying to be competitive in rare earths, some other day they can do it. Such as one example, almost 8 years ago, Japan, they made certain rule not to export their raw material or equipment to the Korean companies against all Korea. That was their shocking news because I didn't believe it. At the time, I was the CEO of something electronics. The one example was the pure water to clean the semiconductor, the wafer. The pure water, the reliability was 0.9, 10 something, the purity. At that time, Korea, small and medium-sized company, they produce 3-digit purity. But once Japan announced they will stop, year later, they made it happen. You know, the SK Hynix or Samsung Electronics, they are big companies. Not in Korean standard, globally, they are big companies. Even the Korean small and medium-sized firm, they may guarantee, oh, we can do it within 6 months, 7 months. They cannot wait. Big companies, they have no option. They must go here. So that's the reason the Korean companies use the Japanese pure water for their CMP or whatever in terms of the cleaning the wafer after photo etchings. So this is one of a good example. Even rare, maybe it may take them more time than pure water. But once China, they're trying to do something, other countries will prepare. So regarding the supply chain, I may worry about, but I do not worry seriously. Did I make myself clear? Okay? Okay, second. Yes, I mentioned about this, but you may know or you may not know why these things happen between China and the United States. Not semiconductor, 5G telecommunication technology. 5G telecommunication, not device, equipment. But the conflict between United States and China, not Korean issue. That was because of Europe and America and China. In Europe, most of the operators, telcos, already use the Huawei equipment. More than, I would say, 6, 7 years ago, Vodafone, nearly 90% of Huawei equipment. Deutsche Telekom, maybe 100%. But you know, once you occupy telecommunication infrastructure, there's nothing you can control. United States government, they worried that kind of situation. That was not caused because of the Korea, no. Because 5G telecommunication is strongly, no, not strongly, more than strongly connected military technology. If you cannot control telecommunication, you cannot do anything, just nothing. Because 5G is, if a fighting machine flying up, you must have all the data. Once you take off, once you touch down, you must download all the data from the plane. Only 5G technology can do it. So, U.S. government seriously worried about telecommunication with 5G technology. Afterwards, I didn't get the feedback, but the U.S. government subsidized European telcos. They are changing telecommunication equipment over 5G, even 4G. So for me, I didn't know this kind of situation. So only what I could do was that meeting with ordinary Chinese consumers. That's what I did. So I went to China almost once or twice per month. Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, all over areas. With the ordinary customers, have talking with them. Even I visited the Smart Eye, and I met the newspaper correspondent trying to explain how I paying attention to customer experience of the Chinese customers important. But the market share from 2 digits, now just 1 digit. It's one of my most shame to my juniors or something, because I left Samsung 3 years ago. So today, because of in consumer electronics, already Chinese companies over-exceed global market. Maybe some areas they are better than Samsung Electronics, such as like a cost effectiveness. I don't know, the Chinese government subsidizing consumer electronics, they do not have any evidence. But if Korea government never subsidized Korean companies. So I don't like their government. And also, in terms of the comparative advantages, I would say in China, 1 billion consumers. China can do everything in China. In Korea, 0.05 billion. In terms of comparative advantages, the Korean companies should go out. We always go out. When I did my business mobile phone, only 9% revenue I made at Korean market. 93% of my revenue I had to create out of Korea. That was a real situation. So in question 2, also I would say, as long as you have their comparative advantages and core competencies, I don't worry. But in consumer electronics in many areas, Chinese companies are doing very, very well, particularly the last 40, 50 years. If we look it back from 1980s, 90, 20, 2010, 20, this all time, you know, China was land for their manufacturing. During the manufacturing, their facilities, Chinese companies learned everything. They learned the manufacturing and technology development. They created their own era, as Korea did. Even today, so here, as Korea was the follower in this era, also China was the follower, but nowadays, in many areas, particularly AI and robot, China became a country of the first mover, not follower. It's a today's situation. I already explained this one. So we must divide the semiconductor and electronics. Electronics means it's like a consumer electronics, mobile phones, but the semiconductor, as long as the country or companies have their own core competencies and the comparative advantages in terms of a situation disrupting CCM, they don't need to worry about it. But one or two things like subsidizing by government is a certain benefit to these certain companies. We cannot control it. We cannot control it. During my business time, I had to move 3 manufacturing facilities from China to the India and Vietnam. Number one was their cost competitiveness. The labor cost, maybe China is half of Korea, but 2 times of India, 2.5 times something, compared to the Vietnam, maybe 4 times expensive. There is this question. Who asked this question? Who? You? No? Oh, you? No, no one. Maybe ghost. Yeah, I would say, depends on their a product. Semiconductor, number 1 market, United States. NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon or whatever, but secondly, I would say China, semiconductor. But the consumer electronics, in China, Chinese companies are already doing very well. That means that the United States and Europe could be the number 1 market, and Latin America or Southeast Asia or whatever. In Samsung, we have there a joking. We must sell our refrigerator in Alaska. It's so funny, right? Alaska, you need a refrigerator? Yeah, this one, I would say yes. I have been thinking lots of times, not because of you guys' question, why the Korea, even I read, because I developed the Samsung Pay, Bixby solution, and digital wallet. I made lots of the weight on the software, particularly the ecosystem development, but we already lag behind digital platform. The digital platform was led by United States and afterwards Chinese companies. Because in China, whenever I go to China, I had a meeting with Baidu, Alibaba, many guys. But I would say resources. In China, more than 300,000 engineers are coming from the university. 300,000. Very good quality. You know why? In Korea, top priority is going to medical school because you make money. But in China, even they graduate medical school, they don't make money. Maybe hair designer, they make more money, right? Correct? Yeah, but anyway, in China, if you graduate medical school, do they make lots of money? No. Yeah. No, even Korea, it takes time. Even when they make money, at least 36 to 37 something. But the salary in Korea is like, when I became senior executive, my age was 40 something. At that time, my salary, including bonus, that was 26 years ago, I would say $200,000 something, less than that. But if you graduate medical school at Korea, you can make it when you 36 or 37. So in China, I think Chinese government is very intelligent and clever. They squeeze, because Chinese government can do everything. They squeeze the salary of a medical school graduate. Then you go to you must be the engineer. In Korea, medical school, once you go there, your salary, maybe 10 years later, is guaranteed. That is number one thing. But 30, 40 years ago, if you are clever at high school, maybe medical schools, but lots of guys went to the engineering university. Secondly, Korea government, not everybody, but sometimes extreme left-wing regime. It's like it's hard to explain, but left-wing regime policy is always trying to be equal and even, to not promote competition. That is a basic policy. I would understand it, because when I look at back the 60, 70 years Korean industry history, development of our industry skyrocketed. There were lots of good things, but lots of bad things happened. It's like distribution, not evenly, but equal distribution of wealth was not possible. I would agree with it. So, I think most of the countries are facing the AI era. At this time, in Korea, the human resources are very, very small. Even Korean engineers, lots of Korean engineers are working at NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Apple, Amazon, because their salary is very high compared to the one you can get at Korea. So only my ray of hope is some other day I can call them, ask them come back to the Korea. But that was 1970s. How Korea science and technology developed so quickly and skyrocketed. 1970s, lots of Korean engineers and scientists came back to their Korea. Today, China, every day you go back. Because in China, AI engineers, their salary is nearly equal at the one you get at United States. If you have a master degree in AI, you join NVIDIA, including sign-up bonus 400,000. In China, DBX, like Alibaba, senior graduate master degree, if we are competitive, $400,000. Living cost is competitive at China. Then the salary feels much higher. In San Francisco, Mountain View, that area is crazy. 2 rooms, $4,000 per month. If you pay all the mock-ups over, 4,500, 2 rooms. So this kind of things, and also in Korea, maybe United States is the same. Our housing price last 15 years skyrocketed. It's particularly as so. That's a crazy thing. When I was 20, 30, there is a kind of norm. Oh, if I work up to the 40, then I may buy even small house or apartment, not in expensive area such as Gangnam. I didn't expect Gangnam too expensive, but except Gangnam, I can get it. That kind of there is a trust, but nowadays, gone. That is a failure of the Korean government. That's the reason I hate government. Because of the government Korean pronunciation is a 정부. I don't like it. I would say yes, you guys correct. That was particularly between 80s and up to here. Korea government supported all the policies and the support like a tax and let them have their low interest rate, the money lendings. That was last 40 years, up to here. But this era, only 2000 and 2010, whatever, government didn't involve. They couldn't involve. You know why? Industry, they moved so fast. Government, they couldn't follow it. This era, I would say, government officers were intelligent. But private sector industry, like me, more than 180 days I was out of Korea. My record was 202 days. Daily life was a meeting with global companies, Satya Nadella, Janssen, Qualcomm, and Hockton is a Broadcom, one of my best friends in my life. It's every day we have a meeting and eating and drinking and talking about business. But the government members, they don't have those kind of opportunities. It's their way of thinking is a lag behind. So they couldn't propose any policies in advance. No. Maybe some small and medium-sized industries or raw material companies who doesn't have enough organization. Maybe government could support those kind of companies. But big companies, no. In economy, it's like there is a Kondradev theory. It's like as a 40 years period, there's a up and down. I believe it. 2026, this time, AI era. This is the right time. Private sectors and government and the public sectors, whatever, we need to be as a one member. We need to move together. AI era, right time. But I would say, as we did 80s, 90s, government lead and the private sector follow, no way. It doesn't matter, government, private sector, public sector, whatever. Who understand that industry, they must lead it. The leader should come from where regardless organization. That is right way. Who understand technologies, who understand ecosystem, who understand industry, who understand organization. They must lead it. When I read this question, I don't believe South Korea taken early leadership role in shaping AI regulation, because I already issued AI development, AI promotion regulations, but I think in Korea AI is still lag behind compared to the China, compared to the United States, even compared to the UK, even France. You know, unbelievable. France is leading some areas of LLM area in AI. Because I believe that France is only interested in Michelin Guide or whatever. But they are doing AI, even Italy, because of the military issue. But today, Korean companies, they made like a certain organization. They set up LLM. 3 companies remain that they will make a Korea only a Korea-made LLM, and then afterward maybe physical AI, such as like a vision, language, action models, whatever, and some hardware areas, because Korea has the battery. The battery in China, CATL, is good for vehicles, or the MCN, mangan, and cobalt, those kind of companies go for physical AI. That one, also Korea is good at their motors. Even Japan is strong at, but it's actuator, motors, and the other hardware sense. Only Korea company doesn't have one thing, is a sensor. Sensor is a strong, the European companies and Japan. We must think AI industries, not only AI, and including physical AI as well. How I explained the weakness resources, but only hope. You know, goose, pigeons always come back home, and salmon they come back when time is due. I do wish. My son is also the AI engineer. I wish he would come back to Korea some other day.
Exactly.
I'm Simon. Okay, I answered all you guys' questions. Any question to me? Okay, because of my bad ears, I'll be there.
Okay. So on the AI regulation, what do you see as like the strengths and weaknesses of the AI Basic Act that the government passed?
A basic regulation is paid attention too much on ethics and safety at the moment. But, you know, after Trump era, safety, ethics, gone. Trump is a brilliant guy. I like him. Yeah. Even crazy. Yeah. Sovereign AI is today's topic, but I didn't pay less of the phrase on sovereign, but I made so like each country, they must support their industry. In terms of without industrial development, AI meaningless. Okay.
So my question has nothing to do with AI, but I want to ask you, because I really look up to you as a leader and as in the private sector especially.
You got the paper.
Have you? I have it right here.
Oh.
My question for you is, what is the most important quality, hard skill, soft skill, that you look for in an aspiring leader? In an individual, when you're looking to hire someone for Samsung, what is the number one thing that you look for in a person?
You mean mobile phone? I would say it's a very difficult question to answer. I would say hardware is like a Mongolian. You know, Mongolian, once you feed your lambs or goats, you must move. That means you must pay attention where the grass is growing in other areas. So they send who has the horse nose before you go to land, before they eat all the grass, they must find other areas. So they do not depend on certain company, Qualcomm, whatever, it doesn't matter. They are looking for always best quality. Software, more agricultural business. They do not move. They're trying to settle down in certain area. They are patient, but they do not looking for what other guys are doing. So, when I recruit, when I hire people in hardware, they are generally speaking extrovert, but software they are introvert. So hardware guys, experience is more important. Software, quality, personality. Maybe if once you find this guy have a good quality in terms of managing softwares or whatever, blah, 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 but if personality is so bad, kick their ass. Last question.
Oh, Mr. Rocky. Thank you, Mr. Cole. My research
Call me DJ.
Oh, DJ.
My research question is about industry policy for digitalization and the digital industry. So you just mentioned that China usually subsidize Chinese companies. But as an industry leader, what do you expect the Korea government to give some positive industry policies for digital industry?
As I mentioned, government cannot lead. That's what I believe. Only government can do is just supporting, not interfere. But semiconductor is huge investment. Investment not only land, water, electricity, such like nuclear powers. Without governmental support, private sector, they cannot do it. It takes time. So those kind of investment setting infrastructures, government must support it. What I say, government can support, just do not interfere. Already, private sectors, they have much better, higher qualities, not government. As long as politicians are doing all right, country will be sustainable. Did I make myself clear? Thank you.
Thank you.